Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Confessions of a Business Analyst with Teso Adoroa. Today's episode has me, I don't know, all kind of emotions because I have um, super amazing guests in the house who are experienced. I don't want to say overqualified for this conversation today. We are going to talk about AI. The topic of today is, will AI replace the BA? Will AI replace the business analyst? And it is something that has been a topic of conversation even in offices, online blogs, and everywhere. Everybody wants to know, is AI going to take my job as a BA? But well, that is what we're here to talk about today, drawing from years and years of experience, not just in doing theory, but also practical. I have Imtiaz and Louis in the house. Now, let me tell you something very fantastic about this duo, right? They have a combined experience of over 40 years, and that's talking about, if you look at it that way, 4 decades or 2 decades individually. They are very experienced in what they do, helping businesses transcend from the place where they are to where they want to be, with workshops, going above and beyond professional development. And you don't expect me to say that they are professional business analysts as well. Of course, that is already given. So they together run Kilts and Kent, and they are. I've heard wind. I've seen things that they're also doing in Nigeria, but we're going to hear from them. I mean, like we say in Nigeria, let's hear from the horse's mouth. Okay, so they are here together. We'll start with Imtiaz. He'll tell us a little about his experience and what they are doing in Nigeria, and then we can also hear from Lewis. Imtiaz.
Hi, yeah, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yes, my name's Imtiaz. I've been a business analyst now for 20 plus years. Fell into it. It was never my intention to work in IT, but yeah, I fell into it and never left it. So I still practice the profession today, still love it, still love the challenge, the debates, the negotiations, the hassle, but also now combine project work with working with Lewis, with Kilson Kenty, running our murder mystery workshops and the training that we do. With that in mind, we're running a 5-week AI course to Nigerian VAs starting middle of October, and we can send you some details alongside this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, thank you very much, Imtiaz. Lewis.
Thank you. Yes, I'm really excited to be here. I've watched a couple of your podcasts. I love what you're doing. I think it's very inspirational, it's very fresh. So I'm really excited to talk with you and get started.
Thank you very much. I mean, very fresh. That's what you said about my podcast. I'm glad. I hope you guys can hear that. Thank you. All right, so I particularly love that the workshop you're having middle of October in Nigeria talks about, the AI and the business analyst, right? And which is what over qualifies you in a good way, right, for the conversation that we're having today. Is there a thing or two, Lewis, that you can tell us about what to expect in October? I mean, I'm going to be there. You already know that. So, yeah, can you tell us a thing or two to expect in October?
Yeah, for sure. So myself and Imtiaz, we've been together for 4 or 5 years now. And we first met at some conferences, BA conferences. We were kind of in London and in various other countries. And the two of us started chatting, and we realized that we were bored to tears with the format of the training and the lectures. It was death by PowerPoint. And we looked at each other and thought, there's got to be some other way to make learning exciting and fresh and new. And we come up then with Kilts and Kenty, which you probably see here somewhere on my screen. And what we do is we have this intriguing storyline that follows the ups and downs of Kilts and Kenty and how we developed our BA AI VAR goggles, which will tell a little bit on the day, and it's a whole lot of fun. A lot of people kind of leave the workshop and say, you know what, that was really good. I've learned something, and there's a couple of people, because once you leave these type of workshops, you go away and forget about it. You go and have your dinner or you go to bed, etc. But we have had people coming back a couple of days later saying, you know what, that was really great. I've actually now employed that technique in my work. So it gives us a lot of
Yeah,
satisfaction. So what to expect? A whole lot of fun and some learning.
yeah,
Thank
too
you
true,
very
too true.
much.
Yeah, and just to echo those sentiments, Lewis, just a quick question for you. Have you ever looked at the Babok, studied the Babok?
A very good question. Just in case you guys don't know what the BABOK is, IIBA is a global institution for BAs, and their certifications are very well renowned. And there's one specific certification that I completed. I completed a number of them, but one is the CBAP. Now, to achieve that certification, you've got to go through a 550-page PDF called the BABOK. Now, the BABOK is actually, it has a lot of real good information in there, but
Yeah.
it's difficult to
Yeah.
absorb, to really absorb. So why did you ask that question, MTS?
So to the point of when we've done this experience and had feedback, one of my favourite quotes is, "I've studied the Babok to become a better BA, but I still can't apply those skills."
Oh
And when I
wow.
read that that's always struck a chord with me, right?
Yeah.
That we often do these courses, whether it's British Computer Society, IIBA, there's multiple bodies, right, that teach us things. But doing the job is actually quite hard, I believe. I don't believe it's an easy job.
Mm.
And what we try and do to the point of our logo is play with purpose. So you're going to have a lot of fun, right? And you'll see that during the courses. People are debating, laughing, getting annoyed, but immersed in this kind of real life scenario. But you're learning. You can
Yeah.
take that debate with you. You can take how to resolve that conflict away with you.
Yeah.
You can take what good looks like from a functional requirement perspective, with you and take it into your workplace. And that for us is really really key, right? You're having a lot of fun, but there's a purpose behind it.
Absolutely. So I think let me say something about learning getting boring, right? I completely agree. Learning has evolved so much, and I think you should be telling me that because you've been through, several decades and seen learning evolve. But from my little experience, I've seen learning evolve as well, and it's not just the boring read this, read that any longer, right? It has to be interesting. It has to incorporate fun, which is very interesting how Kilt
Apologies.
and Kente has decided to, you know, um, approach learning, especially for BAs, and BAs are fantastic and interesting people. They like things fun as well. So October, we're going to keep a date. Thank you very, very much.
Excuse me, I think I'm coughing into my tea. Apologies.
Oh, so that's fine. All right. So, details of the event are going to be a part of this post on YouTube and everywhere you see it. So, please look out for that. All right. Let's get into our first question of the day. Today we are discussing, will AI replace the business analyst? All right. Will AI replace the business analyst? It's a question on a lot of our minds, and we would like to talk about it from a practical perspective, if at all, so that we are able to, understand and actually know what to do either ways, right? So, first question is, um, do you actually believe, right, is does AI have the potential to fully replace a business analyst, or at best will it even change the way a BA works, right? And that's for Lewis. So do you think AI has the potential to replace BAs, and then, or if it doesn't, will it change the way that we work as BAs?
Yeah, and you're right. That's a question on everybody's mind. Now, I don't consider myself an AI expert, right? Because I would challenge who does in this day and age, right? Because it's moving and changing so much as there's so much new technologies coming out. But what I do consider myself is an expert in how I, as a BA, use AI. And I wanted to, and you mentioned that, I have a lot of experience. I'm actually been about for quite a long time. And I wanted to kind of mention the internet bubble, right? There was way back in 2000s, and I remember the internet bubble when it first came out, and everybody was so excited about it. And then, kind of like 1 year later, there was various quotes to say. Let me just see if I can remember these quotes. Uh, and these quotes are great. I love them. .com is .gone, right? I thought that was brilliant. Another quote,
Yeah.
this year .com turned into .bomb, right?
Oh wow.
And the other one, which is absolutely, I think everybody kind of knows this one, the internet is just a passing fade, right? Or fad. And for me, it quickly turned round and you now have internet everywhere, right? So you had a lot of kind of internet young uh, businesses who are no longer here. But today, you use Amazon. It's just that second nature, and I think AI is going to be very much like that. It's here to stay, right? So whether you like it or not, it's time to kind of really absorb it. Okay. And one of I was at a conference in Poland, and one of the things that I actually heard, which I thought was very, very good, and it was by Bruno. Let me just see if I've got my notes here just to make sure I get these guys' names right. It'll come back to me. It was a guy called Bruno, and he mentioned that AI equals the end of the average. And I thought that was really, really good. What he
Mm.
meant by that was that previously to AI, you could easily get away with doing average work day in, day out, and nobody would probably say any different. They wouldn't call you out, etc. But now what's happened is people that are using AI, which is growing and growing and growing, that average is no longer average, right? It's now the output of the work that they're doing is now so much higher. So the people that are doing average is now getting identified as average work because the standard of deployment and the standard of those documents and the outputs, etc., is getting so much higher. And I think just to kind of answer your question in a circular way here, there is another quote called about deep work versus shallow work. I don't know if you've heard that, but shallow work is where you do your emails and you answer IM messages and you do all of that kind of mundane work. Whereas deep work, the deep thinking is where you actually, make your creative stuff. And it turns out that 60% of people are actually doing in their day-to-day work, 60% is shallow work, right? So that's a lot
Oh
of
wow.
mundane tasks, a lot. Now, what AI can do is do those mundane tasks for you and allow you to concentrate on your deep work. And I'll give you an example of what I do. So I've got my dog, a dog called Mac. He's loved very much by the family, and I take him out in the morning for about an hour and a half before I start work. Excuse me. And I use Gemini live. And I do, when I'm walking my dog for about an hour and a half, I use Gemini AI deep thinking, where I'm just working through problems at work or working through various scenarios with this live chat. And it's almost as if you've got a person, a colleague sitting beside you, just chatting away. It's amazing. So for that type of thing, I believe that, AI can be used in a good way to remove your mundane tasks and focus on the more deep thinking tasks and make your output so much more. Do you think that makes
Thank you.
sense?
Yeah, it makes absolute sense. It means it doesn't replace what you do as a BA. It just helps you. It just replace your mundane task, things that you should be, you shouldn't be paying attention to, and helps you pay attention to, things that you should be paying attention to, like
Yeah.
those deep tasks. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll
So
give you another example just before you move on. When I believe the BA is absolute magic sauce is working with stakeholders and people, right? What was happening before with me personally, with using before AI came on before AI came on, was I was working with stakeholders, scribbling down mundane notes, taking, not really kind of concentrating on that interactive perspective that you should have with a stakeholder. Now, AI can easily take that transcript of your, if it's a video call, obviously, and you can concentrate, you can make eye contact, you're not scribbling notes. AI takes that transcript and I use it to then go through and pull out all the kind of key things. And something else which I've started using is, when you're doing large, complicated projects, you have multiple stakeholders, right? And you've got to extract requirements from them. When you take all those transcripts and push it into AI like ChatGPT, etc., it actually pops out and shows you if there's any conflicts of interest, where there's overlaps, etc.
Yep.
So straight away, it's very powerful. And I think you use that as well, MTS, right? You use a lot of
Yeah, and to your point, Lewis, from earlier, we started our speech in London last year with the phrase, AI won't replace you, it'll be the person using AI that will.
mm.
And, 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 and that
Yeah.
almost encapsulates everything kind of Lewis just said. And I guess it also matches the fact that we are, as BAs, change agents. We work on everything we do is related to change, right? Whether it's a robot or somebody, a difference is going to be made to how you work and how you operate when this project goes live. And we also need to embrace these new technologies as individuals, right? A, to do our job, as Lewis said, and we'll come to it a bit later as we continue the conversation, but also how we learn. So I think we've got to embrace it from two perspectives, which, like I said, we'll come to. But
Okay, thank you very much, Lewis and Imtiaz. So, Imtiaz, right in the back of what you just said, what are those tasks that you can, you know, like common BA tasks that AI can realistically replace? I know that Lewis has mentioned one. He talked about being able to take notes, right? Just
yeah,
being AI being that note taker for the BA and summarizing afterwards and all of that. So, what are other tasks that you think the AI can realistically replace? To take off that those mundane tasks from the BA and help the
yeah,
BA focus on more, deep work.
yeah. And just to rephrase that, I personally believe it doesn't replace anything I do at the moment, right? And it'll evolve, like everything in life. Everything evolves, but I think it
Okay.
supports me. For me, it's becoming my new best friend. And I'll give you an example. On my last project, I was in a company, and there must have been about 45, 50 BAs, right? Massive pools,
Wow.
projects, massive amount of projects happening, really, really, really big organization. But everyone's busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get FaceTime, whether it be online or actually in person, really hard. We'd be in the office 2 times a week. That time, everyone's running around, right? Meeting
Mm-hmm.
people on their projects, getting stuff done. Um, and even to the point, we used to have these BA communities, and less than 15 would show up. It was very hard to get time with people in that company that I could talk to. That I could go, listen, I'm having a problem with a stakeholder. I'm struggling to get the information out of them, or I've got these requirements and I can't really. I'm missing something. Can you help? Very hard. And so for me, using AI is like talking to a fellow BA. That I can ask it questions. It'll help me. It'll support me. And and to Lewis's point actually about the mundane work, it speeds a lot of that up. It enables me to get back in front of my stakeholders quicker,
Mm.
to elicit more, to challenge more, right? Because it can do some of this complex piecing together of the jigsaw quite nicely. And I'll show you some examples of that in a second. But just a question back to you, Terso. I mean, for me, I do stakeholder analysis every project. I've got to identify, right? I've got to analyze them and then work out a way to work with them. I've got to elicit some information from people
Mm.
and then analyze it, bring it all together, and then write some requirements and draw some models. So look, there's many things I do continuously on projects, right? The end output's obviously different, but a lot of my tasks are arguably similar, right? Kind of project to project. Similar for you?
Yeah, absolutely. But there are sometimes where it can get more tricky, depending on the project that you work on. So the time investment, the quality of stakeholders you also work with, and like you said, there are sometimes where FaceTime is a challenge, whether online or in person. Maybe you got a subject matter expert to speak to, and the person is never available, but you have timelines to deliver on your requirements, right?
Yeah.
So these challenges are there, and the one I find very tricky is stakeholders, because in every project you have to do a stakeholder analysis. There are different set of people that you're meeting with. S- Sometimes you meet absolutely amazing people, and sometimes you meet difficult stakeholders who would make you question your very own existence, right? But yeah, in the end we're here to do the job, so we get
Yeah.
the job done.
Yeah. And,
All
and
right. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to ask Lewis now, what do you think AI cannot do? So we've talked about the things that AI can do for us, right? Like you specifically mentioned note taking. Intia said the AI is his new best friend, right? Like he has a feeling of talking to a fellow BA, right? So what do you think AI cannot do for a BA?
So I think even in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, there's definitely been a theme in our discussions, right? And that kind of keyword is stakeholders. For me, I mentioned before, the magic sauce, the most important thing for a BA is not all the tools and not all the techniques and not all the documents and not all the not even requirements gathering. It's interacting with people. It's interacting with the stakeholder. You mentioned just earlier on about difficult stakeholders. If you have a difficult stakeholder that you're not interacting with, or you know, there's not a rapport there, or anything, that trust is lost. And as soon as the trust is lost, you're not going to get the best out information out of those stakeholders, right? So for me personally, AI will never be able to replace that face-to-face interaction, that face-to-face kind of talking and laughing and sometimes crying with your stakeholder. You know, I've been
Mm.
there, to be fair. I have actually been there. So AI can never do that. And I'll give you an example, right? So I'm a BA consultant at the moment, and I have been for many years. And even after all these years, I still get the famous imposter syndrome. You familiar with that, Terso? Do you know imposter syndrome?
Yeah, yeah. I think I understand what you're trying to say.
So imposter syndrome is, so for example, it happens to everybody, but specifically contract work or freelance, because when you go into a new contract or take on board a new role or a new project or what we call gig, right? When you do a new gig,
A
you've got
gig.
to go in there and you've got to hit the ground running, right? Now, I could be working for multiple industries that I've never worked before, right? So, here's stuff that even to this day surprises me how things work. So what allows me to do is actually use AI to understand that industry or understand a new role that I've got to interact with, and a person who has that role. I can use AI to very quickly get up to speed, right? So from day one, I'm not asking basic questions and, so what's that for? And what's this for? What's that? I can use AI to go in there and really hit the ground running. But what AI can't do for me is start making those interactions with the project team, with the stakeholders, etc. Kind of making very quickly friendships and partnerships and all that working magic sauce that I keep saying. And I think that's absolute key on all this.
Yeah.
And just one thing, Imtiaz, that I think we have talked about before is the limitation of AI, right? AI can only work with data and ideas and stuff that's out there already. It does a very, very good job at pushing them all together and come up with what seems like new stuff, but it's not. It can't actually come up with any new creative, brand new stuff. And that's where the human element comes into it, and AI, unfortunately, at this stage, struggles with it. Can only use data that's already existing or ideas that are
Mm,
already existing. Imtiaz, we've talked about this a few times, right?
Yeah, and 100%. You've got to be really careful. To your point as well, when using it. Um, and I think that's where the skill of the BA comes in. To your point, Lewis, that the outputs will come in, but we've got to use our skills as BAs to interrogate the output. Right, meeting notes, models, whatever you're doing, you've got to read, dissect, understand the output, and change it, right? Because that human element, our knowledge and understanding of where we're working, is pivotal in helping support AI produce its outcome.
So
perfect.
in summary there, so it can never replace us as the human, as the interactive part of our work, which is, again, I'm going to say it again, magic sauce is what a BA needs for that to make him
Yeah, yeah.
her successful.
That's amazing. That's perfect. Thank you. All right. I also thought about something. AI will not understand organizational politics or office politics.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? Exactly
Yeah.
it.
All right. So I think we've been too serious for the past few minutes. Maybe we should take a game now.
Oh
We should
no.
play a game to relax.
He always beats me at games. It's just not right.
Okay, so the game is BA or AI, right? So I'm going to read a couple of phrases, and then you tell me if it's something an AI made up or it's something a BA can say.
Okay, can it be both?
No, it can't be both.
All right, okay.
Yeah, because I think we just agree that the AI cannot do some. It basically does not have emotions, so there are some kind of requirements you see, and then maybe I'm giving the answers away already. But
Okay.
let's play the game. So when I read the phrase, you tell me if it's a BA or it was that straightforward AI.
And how do we put our hands up to answer or
Yell.
No, anybody who has the
I
answer
want to
can
beat
just
him.
say
I'm desperate to beat him at
it.
something.
Okay, I'll keep the scores. I'll be fair. All right. So number one, as a customer, I want to track my order so that I know when it will arrive. Is that a BA or an AI saying that?
AI.
BA.
MTS said BA. Lewis said
AI.
AI. Okay, so the answer is BA. MTS won.
Hands down, I better BA. Right. That's the
All
proof.
right. Next question. The system should detect user emotions and adjust the interface to match their mood. The system should detect the user emotions and adjust the interface to match their mood. Is that AI or BA?
Right.
It sounds like AI, yes.
You know it's copying me.
Okay, so the answer is not BA, it's AI.
You
So
copied me,
that's
Lewis. You can't claim a point there, mate.
Listen, I'm just going to say AI for every answer. I'm bound to get at least 50% right.
Mm. Okay, so that's interesting. Next one. The app should make the user feel happy and motivated every time they log in. The app should make the user feel happy and motivated every time they log in. Is that AI or BA?
BA.
It's a hard one. I'm going to say AI. I'm going to stick with my I'm going to stick with my AI theme.
Um, Imtiaz, did you say BA or AI?
Yeah, BA. Yeah,
BA.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the answer is not BA. It's AI.
Yes.
um, all right.
You,
So next
you're going to own me
question.
a beer. And as if I win, you own me a beer.
So now you're squared. Now you're squared. You have 2-2 each.
Okay.
Next question. This is an acceptance criteria. User must be able to upload up to 10 megabytes files in PDF, docs, or JPG format. Is that BA or AI? So it's an acceptance criteria. It says users must be able to upload up to 10 megabytes files in PDF, docs, or JPG format. AI or BA?
I'm going to use AI to check this answer.
No.
You go first, MTS.
Seems always the case, right? BA.
Okay, Lewis.
I could be both, actually. I'll stick with AI again. Why not? I'll go with AI.
Okay, the answer is not AI. It's a BA. Yeah, so the requirements were the acceptance criteria was too specific. So it sounds like what a human being has thought through, to consider.
Okay.
Next question is a user story. As an admin, I want role-based access. I want role-based access control so that only authorized users can view sensitive data. AI or BA?
MTS.
Lewis?
Oh, I'm going first. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with AI this time. That's a definite 100% AI.
Okay. MTS?
Yeah, I'd have to. As much as I don't like agreeing with Lewis, I'd have to agree on this one. Definitely AI.
Hmm. Okay, the answer is BA.
Okay.
Here again, we have another specific user story, right? Talking about allowing role-based access by admins so that we don't expose sensitive data to people who. There's something we call that. Can't remember now, but basically giving access to users who shouldn't have access to some certain part of the application.
Role based.
Yeah, role
Okay.
based. But there's another word when users have access to what they shouldn't have access to. I can't remember right now.
Could be
Okay,
anywhere.
so this point is for me, so I have that point.
Okay. So what's the scores? Is it 2-3 so far?
Is 4-3?
4-3.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, 4-3. Next question.
I can do it.
All
Yes, you
good.
can. Next one. The chatbot must answer all questions perfectly without a mistake. The chatbot must answer all questions perfectly without a mistake. AI or BA?
I'm going to go.
Imtiaz?
All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Okay.
No, no, no. Go. You
I'm
can.
going to go for AI
BA,
again. Oh no.
Okay, Imtiaz.
BA, BA.
Okay. The answer is not BA. It's AI.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Next question. It's an acceptance criteria. Search results must return within 1 second of queries under 1,000 records. Okay, sorry. The search results must return within 1 second for queries under 1,000 records, right? So is that an AI or a BA?
BA.
Yeah,
Luis?
I think I need to go for BA this time. Yep. Yep.
All right. So unfortunately, the answer is not AI. It's BA.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
point. So it's a point to me, mate. You can't
No,
cheat
we both
and,
went
and,
BA.
and,
Yeah.
and use my answer. I mean,
Listen, the referee's decision is
it's
final. I'm already sending them some money through ChatGPT.
Oh well. All right. Next one. The mobile app should be as addictive as Instagram, but more professional. The mobile app should be as addictive as Instagram, but more professional. AI or BA?
AI.
Okay, Lewis. Imtez.
um,
I'm loving this.
The kind of hard questions are
there,
quite.
Mm,
there's a reason I'm going to say this, but I'm going to, and I can say it after if you like. But I'm going to go with BA.
mm.
No,
What
I'll
did I say?
explain my
AI?
logic. I'm going to go with BA.
Okay, the answer is not BA. It's AI.
Yeah,
Right, right. But I know why you. Maybe I think I know why you went with BA. Because you looked at it from a benchmarking aspect.
hmm.
Being able to sort of copy or benchmark what Instagram is doing, but do it in a professional way. Um, but it was kind of vague
Yeah,
because it fails to specify in which areas we are going to benchmark Instagram,
yeah,
or
yeah,
at least at face value.
yeah. And that comes out when Lewis and I run our murder mysteries or our trading sessions, right? It's a great
Mm,
statement, and a lot of these are great statements. And when we go into the writing of functional and non-functional requirements, quite a hard
yeah.
thing to, I think, really hard to write because
Yeah.
you, because you've just mentioned a really good requirement, but when you delve into it, is it vague? Is it
Mm,
clear? Can I test against it?
mm,
And through what we do in our murder mysteries, we take it away from the academic, you must do this format and all that sort of stuff. And we use the people in the room and the collective learning and the immersion of the games that we play to really tease out that statement around, what the requirement you just mentioned, and take that and evolve that into what is a really well written requirement.
yeah.
And we're playing with purpose, and you're coming away from that subsection of our experience with a really good understanding of what a good written requirement is, but also actually how hard it is to go from your really good statement, right? Instagram, and it should mimic it and all this good stuff, because it should. But
Yeah.
what do I do with that statement?
Yeah.
Right? There's
Exactly.
levels, right? When I cut into the cake, there's so many layers, and
Mm,
I've got to go from the top icing down to the fourth layer of that cake, right? To make it so that somebody can design and develop against it, right? And test against it. And that, and that's very hard to, I can do that on PowerPoint with you really easily. And you can walk away from my training course going, yeah, I can do that. But actually, can you?
No.
And so, again, to Lewis's point early on about trying to reduce that academic death by PowerPoint and immerse people in a learning journey, we really want all those, especially junior BAs and even experienced BAs coming out with going, yeah, okay, I understand that how hard it is to go from, the stakeholder said, right? I want it to be like Instagram. Oh, of course you do, mate. Of course everyone does. But it's not a change requirement, right? I've got to ask 10 more questions and speak to 3 more people to get down to that.
You know what's happening here, Terso? Because I'm catching up with him, he's delaying the game because he knows he knows that I'm going to beat him this time. I know his tactics.
I think you're I think you're leading. You have 7, he has 6.
Well, of course I am.
No, Lewis is leading. He has 7, you have 6. Okay, but we have 2 more questions. And then I wanted to say something. A well-written or beautiful statement isn't a requirement, right? Because people confuse that. They feel like, okay, I've written it very well, and that's what the stakeholder said. Just like you said, the stakeholder said this, and that's it. It's not. It has to be. There are characteristics that it should have to make it a requirement, right? If it's vague, I mean, it doesn't even cut it in the first place. Junior BAs, senior B, all of us most times are guilty of that. Sometimes it makes sense until somebody points it out. Okay, yes, but how can we test this? And it becomes a question for another day. How can we validate that this requirement has been fulfilled? And it becomes something else. That's one thing I personally look at. I have learned from experience. Several times I've written vague requirements, but now first thing I think of is how can we test this? And then I go from that to writing my requirements.
Just to bring that to life, I remember about 4 or 5 years into my career, I was on an e-commerce project. And part of it was designing this kind of, a registration page. So, first name, last name, date of birth, save, and I've got an account. And we were in test phase. And the page looked good. It had all the data points, you could fill it in. There was some usability help, right? Saying, password must be a foreign character and capital letter and all that good stuff. And a tester emails me. It's going back a lot of years before Instant Messenger. And they said, I'm testing this requirement for first name and last name. And it says in the requirement, you should be able to allow for 100 characters, which we'd agreed and written. Then on the email, he says to me, well, I'm writing in this field on the web page. And I've typed character number 55. And I said, yeah. And he said, when I type in character number 56, character number 1 disappears off the screen.
Oh.
Right? So what should the behavior be functionally, right? What should the behavior be functionally of this field?
Yeah. And
what should the behavior be from a customer's perspective? And I'm thinking to myself, I've gone into some detail here, right? Because I've described a lot of rules around these fields that every database has, right? For every attribute that it contains. But test teams find another level of granularity.
Yep.
And
I'm sure you never imagined someone's username would be up to 50 characters. You never imagined that.
Exactly, right? But it's reality, right?
Your requirement said 100, so the tester wanted to actually test for 100.
Yeah,
but I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, because if you are a user, right, if you're a customer, you're going to think that part of your name's now gone, right? But the field's obviously still But you're thinking, wait a minute. So to your point, you know how hard you put that effort in to get the requirements right. You'd forgotten about that extra. You know what the customer's going to be experiencing. Yeah, it's amazing. That's why I love BA work. It's really,
Yeah.
it keeps me up at night.
Okay. We have two more questions to go. Hopefully, maybe Imtiaz will square up,
Yeah,
or Lewis is
yeah.
going to win. All right. So the next one is, as a manager, I want to automate reports. I want automated reports sent daily at 8 a.m. so I don't have to run them manually. As a manager, I want automated reports sent daily at 8 a.m. so I don't have to run them manually. Is that AI or BA?
Oh,
I'll go first.
Yes, you can.
I think that's BA.
Okay, Imtiaz.
just because I disagree with most things Lewis says, I'm gonna, I'm, I'm gonna, I'm gonna go AI.
Okay. The answer is not AI. It's BA. So that's 8-6. Oh wow.
That's me. I've won then, right? I must have won. So
Yeah, because I mean, there's just one question left.
okay, bring it on. I want.
10 points for the final question, right?
What? 10
10
points for the
points.
final? No, it's 1 point. Okay. The system should automatically anticipate user needs without requiring input. System should automatically anticipate user needs without requiring input. Is that AI or BA?
You want to go first, Imtiaz?
I'll go AI.
Okay, Lewis.
I am going to go with AI.
Oh, the last question. It's quite unfortunate. The answer is not BA. It's AI.
Yes.
Okay, you both were amazing. You both were amazing. Congratulations. How was the game? I mean, I hope it wasn't too tough.
That's really good.
It
Good
was really
chat.
good. It was hard, even though
Yeah.
I got 9 points and he got
Yeah.
7. It
No,
was
you
really
got eight
hard.
points. He got 6.
Right, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
You owe me a pint.
Yeah. When you come to Lagos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much for that. Okay. So, um, let's get back into our questions and the conversation. So far we've talked about the things AI can help us do, the things AI cannot do for us, and how AI just helps us become
Yeah.
better business analysts. And I'd want to go to Imtiaz now, right? Are there examples? We've talked about the things that um, tools that a BA can use, how a BA can use AI to sort of make their job easier and better. Are there tools that you can recommend? Maybe for like requirement gathering or maybe note taking tools you can recommend, or maybe just show us how to
Yeah,
use any of these tools. Our guys may be very, very interested in seeing how these things work.
absolutely. But before I do that, just two quick points.
Mm,
Again, it won't be AI that replaces us, it'll be the person that's using it, right? Just begin to dabble, right?
100.
Even
100.
even just create a Gemini account, any AI, and just type in, I want to organize a weekend away with some friends, and I want to go somewhere hot and do some hiking, right? And just see what it gives you, and just begin to immerse yourself, in the experience. Really, really important. Um,
I'll
that's
give you
how we've
another.
designed. Sorry, Liz. That's how we've designed all our experiences, right? So anytime you come on a murder mystery, on a training course with us. We're immersing you in the tool. We cover topics like data ethics and data security, and I can give you 55 PowerPoint slides, right? And you'll fall asleep. You may learn some stuff about how important it is and what GDPR says and what this law says, and you'll be kind of zoning in and out, right? But the minute I immerse you in something and I teach you a little bit, but you get to do it, and then you get to reflect on the experience and learn from 10 other people, that learning's magnified. So what we're about to show you is a very small snippet of kind of what you will be doing when you join us, right, in October. Sorry, Lewis, you're going to say something.
Yeah, no, sorry, I cut you off there. It's a very good point, right? And I even at this stage, which is what, the 30th of August 2025, there's so many people out there who just haven't even used AI, really concerned about it, you know, and it doesn't, and it's a good shout, Imtiaz, to try and encourage people to start using it. And it doesn't necessarily need to be work related. I use AI all the time. So for example, I use it for, I cook in my house. I'm the cook, right? So I've got a hungry daughter and a hungry wife. And, I have my meal plan on AI, right? So it's like I cook a lot of food, we freeze it, and then we get it out, etc. Before I go to the shops, right? I'm saying I use AI to kind of remind me of what ingredients I need, what I'm planning for the next week, etc. So it doesn't necessarily need to be around a professional kind of context, right? You can actually use it for simple daily tasks just to get you into it if you feel like it. And you're also right, Imtiaz, as well. You can get really good free accounts out there, right? You've got Claudia, you've got as well, which everybody talks about Gemini and ChatGPT, but there's other ones out there, and Claudia's really good as well. Sorry, Imtiaz, I just wanted to kind of reinforce that point. It's a good point. You should start using it and just feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Because like anything new, right, it's mind-boggling. Everyone's an expert suddenly. There's people blogging about it, Facebook, it's all over the place, right? And suddenly it feels like the world's conquered it and I haven't. And I can't even begin because I can't catch up.
Yeah.
It's a very raw emotion that we all experience. And just try something relevant to you, right? If you play chess, right, just ask it, can you give me a different way to begin a game of chess? And maybe get a nugget of, maybe move the knight first, or move, and just begin to have fun. I'm going to show you two, very quick kind of examples. And please stop me if you've got any questions as I showcase you, because I'm going to cut a few corners really because of time more than anything else.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. Please go ahead.
The first one is around notes, around meeting notes. And again, I combine a lot of my last project in being in the office as well as being in person, right? So when I'm in person without any devices, obviously I'm scribbling, right? So I'm either modeling or I'm writing notes. Hopefully you can see a window on screen now, and hopefully it's big enough.
Yes, It's big enough here.
Yeah, and so what I've just pasted into a window, right, is some meeting notes from a meeting I had. As you can see, head of digital content, right? And the aim of the meeting was to elicit some requirements for a new content management system. And I've given it a little task, right? So I've set some context. I've given it a little task. And we explain this on the course, right? The reason behind I'll put the structure in place, but essentially a bit of context and an action, right? Using the information below, create me, a really nice professional set of notes I can then send out. Yeah. Hopefully you can see on screen, right? Meeting notes, a couple of aims of the platform, increasing some sales, attracting customers, and I made some notes, right? Simplify the UI, increase upload speed, just some generic notes that one would that one would take in a meeting. And if I scroll down, you see some other. Again, I've made a load of different notes because obviously, as the head of digital, they've got a variety of needs they want to see fulfilled, right? And so I'm going to ask it to produce me some professional-looking notes. And so, in an instant, I can also do this, by the way, from uploading an image. So I can take a photo of these notes, right, and upload it using, if I hit plus here, you can see add photos and files, add from Google Drive, right? So I can add that picture and ChatGPT will read it, right? Obviously, if you've got bad handwriting like me, you may have to tweak it a little bit. But again, both options are available to you. And off the bat, right, and people inspect this during our courses, but even just looking at it, it's giving me a nice kind of header for it, right? Really professional looking, meeting notes, business objectives is highlighted that. But it's begun to break my notes down into some functional and non-functional requirements. It's quite useful. Is it accurate? Going back to the human element, the quality of me as a BA. Is this accurate? Is it reflecting the conversation? Or is it making up things? Is it adding a little bit of Lewis's magic sauce, right? And creating a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. But the skill of me as BA comes in now, right? I've saved myself half an hour of typing, but I need to reuse some of that time to interrogate it. I can't just send it out because I will look, there'll be egg on my face, right? If you're familiar with that phase, but there'll be, it'll look bad upon me. But not a bad list, even if just, and have a look at it, guys, right? Even as a quick snapshot, it looks fairly good. Capture the speeds and the SEOs and other bits. It's added in things I've not asked it to, right? Which is interesting. Decisions, are they relevant? Are they not? Do I need to include that in my notes? Again, I've got to think through, right? Can't just copy and paste. Is that correct? Actions should always be actions, right? I didn't capture any, as you saw, but there should be actions, right? Even for me, because I've got to do something with it. Are they correct? Are they relevant? What do I do with it? And some next steps. But off the bat, it's given me some pretty cool things, right? And this is almost start of a 10. We had a really good conversation earlier around stakeholders. For me, as I think we both agreed, like, I'm in the people business. Above all anything else, I'm in the people business. And I can ask it, right? Can you help identify, oops, and it doesn't care about capitals and non-capitals. I can correct it. Additional stakeholders I need to speak with to elicit more requirements, right? We also go into, on the course, these prompts, right? Going from quite generic to quite specific things as well, and how that alters, right? And again, as Lewis said, we're both freelancers. So for me, this is quite useful early doors in a company, day 1, day 2. I don't know your culture. I don't know your landscape. I don't know your hierarchy. Often no one ever shows me or takes the time to even show me because I'm expected on day 1 with my imposter syndrome to do a great job, right? Because I don't get the 2 weeks induction. Right now, it's telling me, give me a nice little list, right? Some business stakeholders, some technical stakeholders, getting my thinking for me. And I can go, okay, so I need to speak to some sales guys and some customer experience people. Why are they relevant? I don't know. Training, why is training relevant? Giving me a nice why as well. Begins my thinking, helping me, right? As this lone BA to produce a better outcome for the project and the customer. And it's supporting me, right? You can do a little diagram for me if I choose it to, and we go into on the course, producing, I'm sure you've heard of RACES and the CATWO diagram, maybe the stakeholder perspectives. and I could get underneath the skin with that. Again, it can just begin to give me a bit more insight into that role before I meet you. And to your point about requirements, right? Can you produce me a list? Call it a list, right? Of functional requirements. And this is where the BA skill comes in handy. Boom. How long does it take you to write even the first draft of requirements? Open question, guys. How long does it generally take you?
A long
Mm,
time.
it,
A
it
long time.
actually a long time because it depends on the magnitude of the project. It could take
Yeah,
days, it could take hours, but it can't take less than an
yeah,
hour.
yeah, absolutely. And we
And
also spoke about the quality of. Sorry, Lewis, go on.
I was just going to say, I'm not sure if you're going to come on to that, but one of the key things to answer your question in a slightly different way, even if it does take hours, etc., and you go away and things change, which they always do, you can build up a chat history that over a period of days and months, etc. So if any new requirements do come in, you've got this history, this conversation you've been having with this AI, and it'll update and it'll remember your original one and come back in with your new ones, etc. So because for BAs, right, it's always about iteration, right, with your stakeholder. It's not necessarily get requirements one first and actually done. You've got to go back again, and back again, and clarify. So this allows you to really
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, really important point. And again, going back to the slicing of the cake, right? And how many characters do you want to show on the screen? I'm not going back to the head of digital saying, "Can you sign off my requirements?" I've got a nice conversation to have. I've put all our notes and all my actions into functional areas, right? As a first, dart on the dartboard. Do these functional areas make sense? Do the themes, does the high level concept make sense under each functional area? It gives me the scope almost to kind of go and do my elicitation with all the other stakeholders. They're not perfect, they're not fully blown user stories, they're not amazingly well written requirements, right? But off the bat, I can spend an hour, maybe a bit longer, reviewing all of this because there's a lot in here, taking it as the building blocks going forward. And it saved me a bit of time. To Lewis's point, I can interrogate it, right? Based on engagement and feedback. I'm meeting the CX lead. Can you help me out a little bit before I go in, right? And build up a richer picture. It even recommends some next steps, which I could take on board.
Which is something I find very, very interesting as well. The next step recommendation.
It's brilliant. If I just put in, yeah, let's do privacy. So, but I go back to it needs me as a BA to interrogate this stuff, right? So I don't know why it's chosen this really. I'm guessing it's based on business objectives. I've not asked it to specifically
Yeah.
relate it to that.
But I mean, as a BA, as a human being, you can't tell what is more important to, your stakeholders,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's even politics.
yeah,
Some stakeholder wants their feature out first,
yeah,
because of certain reasons. They want to
yeah,
meet their budget for the year
yeah,
or something,
yeah,
and all of that.
yeah,
So
yeah. And I've
prioritization can
seen,
be.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've seen again in my last project, a junior BA produce a document with priorities, went back into a workshop with stakeholders with priorities in it. The column completed, right? And
Yeah.
people are challenging the BA, saying where these must come from. And
Uh,
many ways to answer that. The answer wasn't, well, I made it up.
for
It's
real.
be careful, right, as a BA, how you use this stuff.
Yeah.
Dangerous. right?
All
I know
right.
it, I know a little bit not to use it maybe, or to use it to help me think. But don't be tricked into thinking this is your Moscow signed off, and your stakeholders is going to go, oh, brilliant, job done,
Okay, I
right?
think that's a very interesting one, and it actually stirs up a question, for me to ask Lewis while we're here, right? What do you think are the risks that are involved with using AI? Now that Imtiaz is pointing out something, what do you think are the risks that are involved in using AI? Too much dependency on AI, does it affect the BA in any way, or are there things we should be careful about?
No, for sure. I mean, the last hour or so we've been talking about how good it is, but there is very big risks. And I'll give you an example, right? Over reliance on AI can cause a big problem. Uh, a true example that we have done. So, and I mentioned earlier on that AI is changing all the time, and it literally is week by week. So for our murder mystery kind of workshops and stuff like that, we have a lot of personas, a lot of characters, and we've created these characters, using AI and stuff like that. So in fact, you've got some of them
Yep.
behind Imtiaz. I just remembered he's got them. So these are a
Yeah.
lot of our characters, personas that we use, right? So we generated a couple of these a way back, probably December last year, January this year, and they're kind of very fixed images, and we wanted to kind of put them in different poses and stuff like that, and AI just wouldn't do it, right? It couldn't give. For example, you've got Mona Lisa, her with the red hair, she's a product owner. We couldn't get her to kind of move, right? Or look up and down because the AI back in January, they couldn't
Yeah.
replicate the face, right? So we had become reliant on, because all of our materials and all of our documents with Mona in there, we had to change to a new face, and then we had to backtrack and clean up all the documents because we can't have Mona Lisa with two different faces, right? So there is an element of reliance, and you've got to be very, very careful. And I'll give you another example. I was working on something, an answer. I needed an answer for something for a project, and I was working on it for 4 days, right? So what MTIs was doing, I was kind of working and prodding and pushing and bringing information in, and that took about 4 days to actually get the answer I was looking for, and then I had to present that, and then we had some power cuts, right? And because a lot of the information, the historical information I'd been working with for AI to get my answer, I couldn't get access to, and my deadline was like, in 2 hours' time. So I went into panic mode, right? Because there was a reliance on me and AI building up that answer over 4 days, and I needed to kind of backtrack, and I couldn't because AI wasn't there. Uh, the other one so that's reliance. The other one is trust, and this is very, very important. And I use AI, I use Gemini, and I use ChatGPT, and I use Claudio, and I compare them. So if I'm really kind of trying to do some deep thinking, I've got the three of them all running at the same time, and some of them give me similar answers, but some of them give me different answers. But the information that you get back sometimes is nonsense, and this is the bit where I think junior BAs have got to be careful, because for me, because I've got the experience, I challenge what's been given me, right? It's the output. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. You're talking, that you're a wee bit confused. Can you go back a couple of iterations, etc.? If you're a junior BA and you don't have that experience, you can just easily cut and paste. And Imtiaz mentioned it earlier on, you get caught out, right? Because you've
Yeah.
cut and pasted. There's information in there that just doesn't make sense, and you haven't got the skills or the experience to actually challenge that. But it's not just about juniors. There's another example I was reading about last year for a senior BA, right? 20, 25 years. And they've been doing BA all their life, but they wanted to pass the CBAP IIBA certification. So a lot of the kind of stuff you can now do is you can work with AI to help you get through the exam, right? Because you need to kind of so you can ask ChatGPT to ask you various questions, learn different parts of the BABOK, which that 550-page
Yeah.
document.
Mm.
But because he wasn't familiar with the actual BABOK content and passing the exam, even though he had 25 years of BA experience, he still took what he was getting back from AI as all truth, and he failed the exam because AI was giving him wrong information. And he was a senior 25-year experienced BA. And I'll finish with just one final thing, which I find really such an interesting question. And myself and Imtiaz talk about this a lot. And it's called the ethnical dilemma, right? So when you are using ChatGPT, especially maybe if you're a freelancer consultant, stuff like that, and you've done a lot of work using ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you prefer, and you take that output and it's good, it's cleaned, you've validated it and you send it away. Do you tell them that you've used ChatGPT, or do you just keep quiet and say, right, okay, that's my work, right? So I find the ethical dilemma quite an interesting one. Are you honest and say, look, because a lot of people are still a bit nervous with people delivering work using ChatGPT. So that ethical question mark, I think, is kind of
Yeah,
just the end to your answer is quite an interesting one. I
it
mean,
is.
what would you do, Tercio? Would you tell people that your work is ChatGPT generated?
Mm, straight answer, no.
Yeah,
All right, because I know that sometimes people think that using ChatGPT makes you look incompetent. Say, oh, he's incompetent, that's why he's using AI. But actually, using AI, you have to be smart to use AI. If you're not smart, you're going to get all wrong answers. I mean, you're going to believe everything the AI tells you. You're not going to be able to question anything,
yeah,
and everybody's going to look at you and say, "Oh, this is absolute trash. How
yeah,
were you not able to figure out?" So
yeah. And
sometimes I'm skeptical about mentioning it, except to like minds and tell you, okay, yeah, I took the notes, I gave the AI the information, and this was actually AI generated. I only
yeah,
had to vet the information and be sure that I'm sending out represents my thoughts.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
It's
yes.
a it's a fascinating area. And one of the things we did, we ran a session, a kind of murder mystery session with some marketing people a while ago. And one of the case studies we got into was around press releases and the creation of press releases, right? Which are often based around real world events, which differs from some of the work that we do sometimes, right? But and to Lewis's point about what's correct and what's not, is when you're searching for information on this release, right, a global event, a national event, and you're using AI, if I'm going to say it's my work, how do I know ChatGPT or any AI when I'm querying this world event is giving me correct information,
Mhm.
correct imagery, correct links, fake news, unethical content that I'm now going to create press release for? And these marketeers are struggling with that case study, exactly to Lewis's point, right? And it's only through working through real examples that you can begin to fathom this in your head, right? And actually see the impact of the ethics
Mhm.
and the dilemmas that occur, um, which can have real impact across multiple teams, in a business.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, with what you have said, how can we now escape these risks, MTS, that to you now, what are those skills that business analysts should learn, right? To help them stay relevant and thrive in an AI driven world, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to give you maybe what I'm thinking about, but I know that some learning has to go down, whether it's around learning how to use the AI themselves or even upskilling in some other areas. What do you think business analysts should do to remain relevant in the era?
I guess two things. One thing, I guess, as a freelancer, the one thing I've learned through my freelance journey is I need to evolve my skill set. Because I'm in new environments, doing different projects, working with different people, and I need to be on top of my game. So I've got this kind of long-term view of skills I need to, develop, and maybe certifications I need to get, and also kind of short-term tactical lens of that. And one of those is AI, right? And I use AI, like I've shown, but also to help me learn about different disciplines as well. The things like I don't pretend to be an architect. I certainly don't pretend to be a coder. But if I'm going to be a good BA, does it help me to learn a bit of HTML, a bit of JavaScript, a bit of Python, so that when I'm talking to a developer who's developing the solution based on my requirements, can I have a more meaningful conversation with them?
Mm.
Right? So I'm not going to read a Python book. You'll never catch me, right? But if I can use ChatGPT to produce me maybe some code based on my requirement, I can have a better conversation with a developer and maybe an architect, and maybe
Yeah.
relate more to head of legal when I'm having this really boring GDPR conversation, right? But I can use AI, right? So, and for me, that's a really practical lens of using AI for my professional development whilst on a project and getting the best use of this tool, right? As well as other things. And Lewis has got some additional thoughts, but I think we need to be using AI to evolve our knowledge of the global space because other disciplines are going to do it. Right? We're talking about is the BA dead with AI? It might be, it might not be. Will there be roles joined up? Right? We're seeing people go to no code development already. Right? Who would have ever thought you could have no code development? But it's real. Firms are now employing, you know, really intelligent learning modules, right, to replace developers. So we've got to be aware and upskill ourselves continuously in all these other disciplines where maybe once we were told to stay in our box, but I think the BA of the future needs to have a, increase that skill set and learn other disciplines.
Thank you. You heard Imtiaz. You need to learn. So most people just use AI to um catch fun and just escape their work, right? But we need to learn. We need to keep learning, using AI to learn and also staying relevant, knowing how best to apply AI to the things that we do. Um Luis, any final comments?
Yeah, don't forget to use it for your shopping list.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will do that. It's been an interesting conversation. We've been here for a very long time. Interesting, also very, very impactful. I've learned a lot of things today myself, and I want to appreciate you for being here with me today. And I will also return the favor. I'll be at your event in October, and I'll also help to make noise about it as well. So
Perfect.
thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate the all the efforts you've put into being here today as well. And I mean, I appreciate you. I know that if I call on you again, you're going to come back to the podcast and talk.
Yeah,
Right.
because he'll want to win the quiz the next time.
Exactly.
That's what
Oh,
it is.
There's
yeah,
got to be
that's
a
a fair
rematch.
point.
Yeah.
A 4 point. He wants a rematch. Yeah.
In fact, we'll
All
do it in
right.
October. We'll do the rematch in October.
I'm game. I'm in for it.
There's,
All right.
what I was going to just quickly say, Ter, so we are actually, myself and MTS, were actually in London on for the IRMBA European Conference. So if any your guys, your watchers are there, please come up and say hello to us. We'd much like to kind of meet up with you guys.
Oh, that's great. They have a couple of persons in the UK as well. So, and I'm sure they're listening.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Oh, I was recording. Okay, you can stop the